Welcome, everybody. I'm Hannah Bowler. I'm a senior journalist at the Drum, and I'm joined by a lovely, esteemed panel over here. We've got Giovanna. We have got... you have sat the wrong way around, haven't you? We've got Daniel on the end, and we've got Tim Abrams from the Trade Desk, Daniel from Microsoft, and Giovanna from GroupM Italy. So welcome, everybody. So what I'd like to do is just kind of digest Daniel's panel a little bit, and maybe just kind of get some kind of key takeaways, but maybe I'll just pick on you one by one. So Daniel, you're on the end. If you could kind of pick out a couple of trends that you saw that maybe surprised you from Daniel's panel.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, I'm actually not surprised about the results from Daniel, and thank you very much for sharing all this information. I mean, if we think about all this growth that we're expecting for this year, I mean, what we see is that this trend, I mean, it's a growing trend. And in my opinion, it is also because of all the increase of use of internet and also mobile devices, that it's actually, I mean, all this usage that we are all giving to this is actually making a lot of content and a lot of trust that we're giving into the internet itself. So this adoption is a clear trust that we're giving, and it's a clear trust on certain channels that Daniel also mentioned. So he mentioned retail media, connected TV, and others. And let me speak a little bit about why this trust is actually happening here. So if we speak about connected TV, so here's the fact. I mean, connected TV surpassed already linear TV in the US market in terms of audience size. And this is already a huge sign of preference for viewers to go more for interactive and more personalized content experience. Yeah, and I think we feel this, many of us. If we move to for example, to retail media is a clear success performance channel. Yeah, I mean, here it's definitely in a growing path, and it's because it is a clear accelerator of sales. Yeah, and it will keep growing for sure. And if Daniel also mentioned about search. Search is regaining its momentum. I mean, and we have a lot to do on that one. And yeah, it's definitely a new experience, and there is a lot to come on search. And search is also growing a lot. I think it's 13% for the coming years. So yeah, I think we're in a if you ask me, this is like a manifest of trust about digital platforms. So I think we're in a really good stage.
We'll come back to retail media because it's obviously a huge topic, and we're going to dedicate a little bit of time to it, but it's good to pick that one out. Giovanna, if you would like to follow?
Yeah.
Top trends from that.
Top trends I've seen probably interesting the most. I agree with Daniela. There are most increasing share of voice of the overall video investing, and CTV is driving this growth. Obviously, it is still supply-driven. There's a momentum for all the broadcasters that are pushing harder for premium contents and differentiation. But Europe, especially comparing to other markets, to US, for example, it's supply-driven. So there's a huge fragmentation between players, and our work, especially within, from an agency perspective, is trying to bring together all the players, and the lack of measurement should invest more time in terms of having a holistic view of the overall video. So omnichannel video is still in the huge growing factor. We have seen as CTV still minor in the market, but with a lot of headroom to improve the share of voice. At the same time, I've seen how it is interesting how the growth has been driven by additional fuel budget that comes from not only the video part, but also from retail media. We're working a lot with brands, investing time on applying their own data asset, first-party data, for example, integrated them with the retail media players, the networks, and the integration between them is forcing additional budget coming from digital spending. This comes also to investing time and money in IT services, because brands are investing EMEA in terms of having more digitization in terms of processes, data, and technology, and integrating in a better way the data that they have.
Tim, I saw you nodding away a little bit around the omnichannel and also the retail media. I don't know if maybe that's also something you're seeing or any other trends to share.
Yeah, so actually, firstly, just thank you for having us. I think it's lovely to be on the stage. We definitely support everything IAB are doing, so it's nice to be here. And yeah, I think, for me, definitely the omni-channel nature of what we looked at is really interesting. And then like these two, I think CTV, that one slide that Daniel teased us with, was really interesting. For me, actually, I sometimes think of that metric as being a bit of a proxy for a lot of the benefits of what we do within digital. So the idea of being, using data to decision, using data to measure, using AI to optimize towards ROI. All of that stuff is hard to do in traditional TV. Mm-hmm. So if we see spend from traditional TV or linear TV coming into CTV, I think that is actually somewhat a bellwether for how our brands are feeling about when they're making media investment decisions, trying to make them more accountable. So yeah, I think omnichannel was...
Yeah. That CTV growth stat really shocked me, actually. I thought that was quite higher than I was expecting. Now, obviously, 2022 was a really tough year. I mean, we had political instability, living cost crisis, huge changes in the advertising sector. Despite this, there's actually a pretty positive digital ad spend growth, which again might not have been expected at the time. Why do you guys think that there was actually a positive increase in digital ad spend this year, despite kind of all of the conditions kind of hampering it? Maybe Tim, you go.
Yeah, so actually before we get into this, I think we just need to be cognizant that, as we've seen, digital is doing pretty well, right? It's resilient, and there's reasons for that. Most of the people in this room are B2B, right? So we talk to other brands. I think we need to also just make sure when we're celebrating the successes that we are cognizant that some of this, if I'm working at a CPG, my decision around media investment, often is alongside a decision of passing costs through to consumers, right? And at the moment, that can be a materially impactful decision if I put up the cost of nappies by 10p. So we should celebrate the successes. And why do I think we see the resilience? I think there's a couple of things. So one of the learnings from COVID was, obviously significant downturn, and there was a decision from a lot of brands: do I keep spending or do I disinvest? And there was an interesting article for P&G versus Coca-Cola, who had like a different strategy. Mm-hmm. So P&G kept spending, Coca-Cola reduced spend. P&G global revenue increased 4%, Coca-Cola reduced 11%. So obviously lots of other data going into those KPIs, but I think it did somewhat reinforce the view of, actually keeping investing through downturns, which is kind of what we're seeing, for brand building and is important. And then the other point I think we touched on, ours is an industry where if you're looking to balance the books and really understand where you're driving ROI, having data for decisioning and measurement, assuming you have a platform that gives you that kind of transparency, I think is key. So I think those are the two things really. It's people are trying to or recognize there's value in long-term brand building, and then also this idea of actually a movement of budget into a channel where you have more accountability.
Easier to go to the CFO, right? Yeah. I might just bring you in, Daniel, at the end. Do you want to weigh in on that question as well? Why do you think it's been such a big...
Well, to be honest, I mean, I fully agree with my colleagues here. I mean, I think it's about this data and measurement is the thing that should keep evolving, and it's what we all want, actually. But we're still in early stage, I would say, and this is just the beginning of a long period where we will see more of this coming, and the more data we get, the more analytics we will also extract from it, and the more analysis and also the more ROI that we will perform. So it's all about that. It's an evolving position, and I truly believe that we're in the right path, and it will keep evolving. It will, I mean, good things about connected TV, about measurement, about ROI will come. And as I said before, I mean, there is a full trust on the digital landscape and in the digital platforms, and this is why this is growing, and it will keep growing. But it's true that we also need some clear methodologies and to trust data, and it will come. It will come.
Thank you. Maybe just on sort of opportunities then for the year ahead. So maybe I'll do one by one just to get a take from each of you. What do you kind of see as the number one sort of areas of opportunity in the digital ad market right now, and kind of what are you kind of thinking, pegging on for the year ahead? I'll go shoot to Giovanna first.
I would mention the retail space because it's gaining momentum, and it's not just a buzzword. If we go for a fact check, retail media is becoming an increasing media channel. It's dragging also budget from the traditional duopoly of Google and Meta, and fueling with other budget coming from trade marketing, for example, that was not part of the deal. So this new fuel is attracting a lot of CPG clients, for example, that have less data on the first-party side, and they want to engage more and more with the consumer also on the customer experience, dragging more interaction where the conversion happen, especially in the retail space. So what we see today is that this channel should not be approached as a conversion-only lower funnel channel, should be approached as full funnel, because performance starts from the brand activation directly to the conversion, of course, and the retail media fragmentation still in the early stage of the programmatic. So we are supporting this integration of data analytics in order to have a better measurement, as well as closing the loop of the attribution, because in this case you can connect really well what is happening in the retail.
Yeah, and then go down the line. We'll go down the line.
Yeah, I completely agree, Giovanna. So actually at Trade Desk I spend quite a lot of time on retail, and I think it really is transformational what's happening in retail, going from buying ads on retailer.com, really kind of performance driven, to actually using that data full funnel, right? Exactly. So we have a client running a campaign now with Ocado data where they have a CTV campaign that is measured and optimized using Ocado data, right? So it's not just kind of bottom of funnel anymore. Yeah. That said, I think also, and this is a bit of a classic, I think that this will be the year of first-party data adoption growth as well. So we've all been talking about that for years, at least I have, because I'm very excited like that. I think what is driving a resurgence actually is a growth of privacy-safe next-generation identity, which sounds terribly dry. Sorry, Joanna, I know it's something you care about. Trade Desk, likewise, so we have basically an EMEA-based identity solution. There are others that do similar things. Why is that important? It provides scale for if an advertiser has first-party data, even if it's not huge, we can now use that data much more powerful, get much more of that data usable in digital through this new world of IDs. So I think first-party data, and again, tying into AI, our other favorite topic, that first-party data is not just for direct targeting, but also as a seed for like supervised learning. So if you have an algorithm that's trying to predict what's going to work, if that algorithm has access to existing customers to learn from, that is also going to be transformational. So I think retail, and then I think this idea of more first-party data through identity.
Daniel, are you also in agreement? Are we going to have three of the same?
I fully agree on retail media, but to say something different,
thank you.
To bring another option that I really like is native advertising. So native advertising blends perfectly well with the websites, with the content and the context of the websites or apps. And actually, it brings a more natural user experience. And this is a clear differentiator because in other way, the user would simply just skip or ignore traditional ads. With native advertising, what we see is really a level up of performance. And it's because of this natural user experience that we use to it. We see it through the content. It's part of our content. And this is a clear differentiator of what Microsoft also offers, I mean, through the Microsoft Audience Network. So if you haven't piloted native advertising, I truly encourage all of you to pilot native advertising, because it will really actually perform better, and it will actually look better for the user.
On native advertising then, how would you recommend that brands and advertisers just really sort of capitalize in? What sort of advice would you be giving?
Sorry, can you repeat?
What advice would you kind of be giving in order to sort of capitalize on native advertising right now in its current context?
Well, to be honest, my advice would be to think different. And when I mean think different is, I was 15 years working for CPG brands, and I tell you that I was a little bit annoyed about seeing like all the time same campaigns all over the place. And right now we're living a different momentum in advertising. And I truly encourage all of you to think different when you're building your new campaign. And because of how Daniel just showed us in the panel, there are clear differentiators. And if you want to stand up from the usual campaigns, you should think different. And thinking different means reinvesting again in search, because it's growing. Yes, the experience of search has changed. Thinking different is investing heavily on retail media. If you don't do it now, I tell you, you should go back to the comfort zone with retail media, because it will keep growing. And people should remember your brand from now on. And also about connected TV. So think about connected TV. I mean, I'm pretty sure many brands, they're thinking first in linear TV and then the leftover for connected TV. I would say now we're in a more balanced situation when it comes to linear and connected TV. I'm not saying to dismiss linear TV. This is not my message. The message is right now we're more in a more balanced circle of trusting both and working with both as a strategy. So yeah, I would just suggest to think different, try to twist a little bit the media planning, the budgets, and start testing and learning, because new things are coming.
Thank you. One other sort of key area that was sort of pulled out from the presentation was around audio and the growth there. And I didn't know if maybe just one of you kind of wanted to weigh in on any of your thoughts of why that's kind of growing at the moment, or opportunities there. Any takers? You don't have to. Tim, you look like you're thinking.
Yeah, so audio is a strongly growing channel that we offer. So it's really interesting for us. One of the challenges, I guess, of audio is, and again, I don't wish to keep talking about the same things, but it is, how do you make that slice of audio inventory addressable, right? So often, obviously, audio is kind of inside apps, so it's not necessarily easy to get IDs out of it. So I guess one of the messages, if people are thinking about investing in audio, is do so with a partner that has experience of working across what is still quite a fragmented industry, or fragmented channel, let's say, and then also make sure you're asking the question around addressability, because again, really it's key, and again, using CTV as the bellwether, I really think that if ever, we need to be ensuring that digital channels are completely transparent and measurable and decisionable, right? And you can't do that if you don't have, well, you can't do that easily if you don't have unidentified.
Yeah.
I would add probably about it, audio also, audio attention also in the specific space of audio is dragging budgets, because audio experience is done when probably the user are most attentive on the content, so it's an experience that is closing the attention of the audiences that today we know is probably not a huge. Users are even more, interrupted in their experiences, so they want to grab the attention on content that are premium, and of course, the fragmentation of the player is taking advantage from this attention compared to other medium. What we've seen compared to other channels that is still obviously in the early stage of increasing, but very good, where the radio share, we have seen in the digital markets where the radio share is still good, we see how the combination of audio and radio is working pretty well, such as the combination of CTV and TV share, because the omnichannel experience that they can enable together with the addressability of the media, is improving this kind of experience. So back to your point, it's a matter of data and approaching those channels where the users are, when they are bringing this attention, because sometimes we are taking advantage of the channels, considering the most interesting one, but not the content that we have in mind to be proposed on the right channel. So it's basically a balance between the content that you have available that can be used in a specific way where the user are listening to some audio or streaming some playing.
Great, thank you. I'm going to jump around a little bit because I just want to go back to the retail media words topic that we were talking about before. But I just, as promised at the beginning, I want to dedicate a little bit more to the dominant conversation at the moment in this industry, so I think it needs a little bit more time. I'd love to kind of crystal ball you guys and just get a kind of gauge from you how you kind of think that this new sort of phase of retail media is going to sort of change the ecosystem. No pie in the sky questions. Shoot, who wants to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, we have seen how retail media is changing the ecosystem, also from the presentation from Daniel, because there are many phenomena that are also activating other channels. We have seen, for example, the verticalization of the search. Search is not more an environment that speaks about search engine. It is also about product search. It is about mobile search. I think in the way retail media is proposed to the users is fueling, for example, the adjustment of the feed management. Most of the brands are investing a lot in terms of providing a more seamless customer experience, not only in the digital space, but also in the traditional retail space. And the hybridization of these two words is becoming more and more important in terms of data asset that they can use. So basically, we are investing a lot of time in terms of consulting also brands in order to be prepared of knocking down the silos of the different way they approach the different channels, because it should be considered in a holistic way. We always speak, for example, about commerce, not only commerce, because in the advertising space you cannot consider just one target in an offline environment or an online environment. We are speaking about the same users that can go from the online search to buy a product in the shop, or again, informing in the shop and then buy it online. So the digital advertising landscape is becoming more fragmented, at the same time more interconnected. And the way we want to approach this is having a connected technology to measure where the things happen, when the magic happen. That's the point, my opinion.
Thank you. I actually want to ask if you guys are seeing any sort of challenges in retail media, just in terms of maybe like more faster, rapid uptake. Tim, you look like you're nodding on that one.
I think the funny thing about retail media is there isn't actually a agreed definition.
Yeah.
That even is. Right?
Take it back a step.
I was somewhat smiling that challenge number one is like defining what it is. And then I think beyond that, I think the biggest challenge we see is how do you make, or how do retailers become comfortable with the idea of providing access to data to their suppliers, right? So on the one hand, and again, candidly, retailers are looking for ways to protect consumers from price increases. And one way of doing that is by providing a new revenue stream through retail media, right? So I think that actually is quite a lot of the catalyst for what we're seeing now. On the other hand, how do they do that without, while still respecting the choices of those consumers? So there's a consent question. And then there's a question around, how do I control and make sure that when I make my data available, it's being used in a way that I'm comfortable with?
Yeah.
And the answer is that, or the reason it's happening now is because the industry collectively has done a good job of making it easier to connect those two pieces and still retain control without necessarily needing like a dedicated clean room, right? Those are still useful tools if you want to commingle data, but you don't need them anymore just to do more simple activation. And that again comes back to the identity piece. But I think generally on retail, and then I'll shut up on the topic, 3 things. So one is, it's not just stuff on the retailer's site anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Number 2 is, it's not just targeting, to Giovanni's point, it's measurement as well. Understand the performance of your campaign. And then 3 is, it's all about driving the kind of mutual benefit between retailer and supplier.
Okay. Do you want to weigh in at the end, or are you good?
Sure. Actually, I would like to build.
We'll exhaust the topic today.
I will. Yeah, I would like to build on Tim's answer, and actually is, I mean, what we're seeing on the phenomenon of retail media is that, I mean, shoppers, they're getting inspired all over the World Wide Web, surfing on websites, etc. And we're getting all inspired there. We're all shoppers, and then we return to the retailer website to purchase. So, and this is one of the keys of why retail media is so successful. But one of the challenges I see about retail media is that I think it's conceived as a lower funnel accelerator. Yeah. So it's sales, it's performance, and it is true. But it's not only lower funnel. And there are new solutions in retail media that help us tackle all type of campaigns across the full marketing funnel, meaning going from awareness to consideration to performance. So this is one of the main strengths of the solution that we offer at Microsoft, and is that you can actually tackle the full marketing funnel through in-store, on-site, off-site campaigns. So it's actually a long journey for the user. If you think about it, it's not just being at the retailer website. It could also be someone who went to the retailer but didn't purchase anything, and then keep on surfing on the World Wide Web, and then we impact this user with the right product at the right moment, and bring her back to the retailer to purchase. So this is what we call offsite. And the same happened in store. We are now able to impact users at the point of sale. So all this is possible now with Promote IQ. So yeah, I mean, there's great things happening in the retail side.
Yeah, I think connecting the offline experience is definitely going to be the next sort of iteration of this conversation. But I'll park retail media for the moment, and just while we've got a little bit of time, I wanted to discuss another main topic of conversation at every industry session at the moment, and that's around AI. But obviously, I mean, at the Drum, we've been covering it mostly in the creative sense. So I'd actually like to kind of understand from you guys what that kind of looks like in the digital advertising space. What are you guys seeing at the moment? Who wants to go first?
Shall I start?
Got to be Microsoft first.
Well, first of all, at Microsoft, we care deeply that AI should augment human capacity and not replace it. So, and actually, we mentioned this when we launched the new Bing. I mean, we launched also Copilot. And Copilot means Copilot is not the pilot. It's not meant to replace any of us. It's meant to serve for us. It's the Copilot. And what we're bringing with this, with the AI technology, is that we wanted to bring all the benefits of AI available to everybody, meaning that it is accessible for everyone in a sustainable and ethical and responsible way. And believe me, Microsoft is gonna take clear note on to follow all the steps to make it the more responsible it should be when it comes to this new technology. So I believe that there's. I'm actually excited about all the new opportunities that this technology is going to bring us, and we're still in early stage, in early phases. It's early days of AI when it comes to advertising, and I believe that the best is just about to come for advertisers and publishers.
Thanks. Well, we could actually talk about this topic till the cows come home, but I think we have to wrap up in a second. So I'd just like to do a quick individual whip around of each of you to kind of maybe a piece of advice that you might give to brands sort of investing in digital media for the year ahead, a little 2023. Go, Giovanna, you go first.
Yeah. I would suggest to capitalize, for example, on the early stage of the generative AI. Actually, we have a product that is called Copilot, exactly, because we do believe that AI will support the campaign planning and optimization, discovering all the trends that comes from the consumer insight to recommend the best activation and scoring, for example, and predicting the user behavior in order to have a bit of knowledge in terms of allocating in the right time the budget with a more fluidity approach. So basically, our suggestion probably could be to be present on the different sides of the forecasting in terms of having a deep analysis for all the channels that works better, starting from taking results and considering them in order to optimize in real time all the campaigns. At the same time, making efficiency, because we know that brands want to know where the money is spent and the results that they are bringing. So basically, all the money should be allocated in a correct way, and learning from algorithm as well as human touch should be driving an optimization that can work better. So not limiting to one specific channel, but considering the overall channel of digital advertising, but in connection with the traditional advertising spending. We are not considering it as a silos. We should think about the brand, the targets they have, the users that is at the center, and then investing in all the tools that we have available. Thankfully, we are in the perfect momentum of having to test all these new technologies.
Yeah. Tim, you've got less time.
I will keep it simple. I'm a simple guy. Honestly, I think, so what's working for us is really two things. Is one, have a plan, right? So when you're talking to brands, help, and again, cognizant of for them, they're the ones making the, frankly, hard decision, right? Do I spend more budget on media, or do I go and make a tough decision with my customers? So make a plan for them, help them. And then I think most importantly is let them be flexible. Like the biggest value we bring is this idea of data for targeting, data for measurement, data for optimization. Let people move spend, let people re-optimize, let people drive towards the metrics that matter for them. So I think that's it. I think have a plan and let people be flexible.
Yeah, have a plan, definitely. And then lastly, go on, finish us off.
I fully agree with my colleagues, and I would say it's just have a plan, but be brave. Be brave and try new things. Try new things. There's a lot of new technologies out here ready to be implemented by every brand and every target, every audience. So it's time to do things different.
Thank you. Well, thank you guys so much. It was such a lovely chat, and we could carry on for hours. So, but I will pause here. Thank you guys so much, and enjoy the rest of the session.
Thank you, Anna.